guys! Всем привет! Welcome to my channel AllasYummyFood and добро пожаловать to my kitchen! Today I'm gonna show you how to make honey cake with raspberry and cottage cheese. I know the combination might sound really bizarre, but this is like a whipped cottage cheese cream and it's so good. It's so light. The cake kind of overnight becomes so moist and it just goes through the fork. Oh my god, it's so good. And the raspberry really adds the flavor. So I am betting you that if you try this cake, you're gonna love it. It's so delicious. So if you enjoy my honey cakes, I have made several creations. Do check them out. And yeah, enjoy! In a bowl, add your dry cottage cheese. I'm using the Russian cottage cheese. You can also use farmer's cheese or quark. Then add vanilla extract and sour cream. Make sure you use full fat sour cream as the low fat is not going to work. So then you want to whisk everything together until it's nice and smooth and very creamy. In a different bowl, add your sugar with double cream and whisk everything just for a few minutes until it gets nice and thick. Just like this. And then you're going to add that mixture into the first mixture and mix everything together. Keep adding 1 tablespoon at a time, just so it's nice and even. And when you finish with the mixture, it should be nice and done. You can place this into the fridge while we make our honey cake layers. Now we're gonna make our honey dough. In a large pan, add your unsalted butter and melt it until it's quite liquid. Then add sugar and mix everything together until it is incorporated. I'm using very low heat to make sure everything is mixed through and the butter and sugar mixture is not too hot. Then we're gonna add baking soda, mix that in, and then we're gonna add our eggs. And you wanna whisk at this stage really quickly and lower the heat completely. Just keep whisking and whisking. You will start to see the mixture is bubbling. Then add your honey and then start to whisk again. This whole process will take 5 to 8 minutes. You need to stay by the pan and just keep whisking to make sure the mixture doesn't burn. You will see that the color starts to change and it's going to become quite golden and nice, just like that. So on a very low heat, just keep whisking your mixture up and down. Now the color, I'm happy with that, that's done. We're just gonna now add our flour. I'm adding half of the flour at a time and then mixing it together just to make sure we don't have any lumps. Then add more flour and mix everything together. It's always better to add a bit less flour than more flour, just in case. We don't want very dry sponge, otherwise it's not going to be able to roll out. So just keep adding flour until you feel that the mixture is sticky, but not sticking kind of to your hands and the spatula. I'm adding a bit more flour and I'm gonna knead my dough on my surface after this, just because it becomes a lot easier to do it on the You can find my full recipe at AllasYummyFood.com and go check it out. I've got loads of delicious recipes on there. So add more flour onto your surface. The dough is still very sticky. Transfer your dough. It's very hot, so be very careful. Make sure you add more flour on top and all over your hands. And just knead the dough a little bit to make sure it's nice and smooth and all kind of coming together. Don't want to lose any bits. And then we're going to stretch the dough into kind of a long sausage. So just keep stretching it out. And then we're going to cut it into equal sizes. I've managed to get actually 10 layers out of this dough. And the cake was not huge, but it was a good size. So if you're making a larger cake, you might want to double the ingredients. Then just roll the dough into a little ball and place it onto your surface. Make sure you cover the dough with damp towel while you roll each piece, just so it doesn't dry out. Now for the baking stage, just add flour on some parchment paper and just gently roll out your piece of dough. It's very thin, so you have to go very slow, and you just need to make sure you get all the edges. Just keep rolling it to a desired shape of your cake. So it depends what shape you want to do. You can do squares, you can do rounds. So I'm just rolling it all out, and then I'm going to measure with my cake tin. Then gently cut around the circle. And if you're missing any pieces, just kind of put them back on there and roll it over, and you're gonna get a nice circle. Like I said, the dough is very thin, so it's okay if it's not too perfect. And we're gonna keep all the scraps as well. So we're gonna bake this for about 2 to 3 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit. That just depends on your oven how long. When it's done, you can just leave them to cool down for a couple of minutes, and then just flip it over and take off the parchment paper really slowly. And then leave the dough to cool down. Once you've done all your layers, we're gonna keep the scraps. Add all your extra bits from the cake inside. And then we're going to blitz this on a high speed until you get nice crumb consistency. It's gonna look just like this. Now my beautiful layers are done. Look at these, so nice and ready to go. Take a plate and place your first layer on top. Make sure you add a little bit at the bottom so it's nice and easy, so it doesn't move and doesn't get stuck. Then you want to add around 3 tablespoons of your mixture, and make sure you go around every single bit and cover every single corner of your honey cake layer. You want to make sure that the cake is completely soaked through. Next layer, we're going to add our raspberry jam. You can also add any other jam that you like, but I really like the raspberry honey cake and the cottage cheese cream together. It works really well. So again, you want to spread it nice and even. And then before we top it up, we're going to take another layer, put cottage cheese on top, and we're going to actually flip that around to make sure the cake is very nice and moist. So you're going to repeat the process, going around with your cottage cheese mixture, and then lastly we're also going to do our raspberry mixture as well. So technically you're going to have 2 raspberry layers, and then the rest are the cottage cheese layers. It looks so good already, guys, and it smells absolutely amazing. So once you're finished with the last layer, all the cream that you have, you just pour it down, and don't worry if it's liquid, it's completely fine. It's going to soak through and absorb into your layers. You want to go around the sides of the cake and make sure it's nice and sort of even, and you don't really see a lot of the brown sort of sponge cake. Now we're going to use our crumbs and coat all the cake around, and put as much as you want. Go around the sides as well. Make sure you cover the cake, and it's quite a messy process, but it's completely fine. You're gonna enjoy it, and the cake is totally worth it. Then I've decided to decorate it with some melted chocolate on top and some dry freeze raspberries, because it's a raspberry cake. And we're going to place this into the fridge for at least 6 to 8 hours, or best if you leave it overnight. The next day I'm decorating it with some fresh raspberries on top, and it's gonna look so delicious, taste amazing. I can't wait to show you the inside. So the knife goes through really easily. It's super soft, very moist. The layers have soaked through, so it has the raspberry layer. And just look at this beauty. Oh my god, it's not very sweet. It's perfectly sort of combined flavors. You've got that subtle cream, you've got that sort of sweetness and tartness from the raspberry, and the honey dough layers are just insane. Very light and kind of delicious cake, not as heavy as the other honey cakes that I have. and I just can't stop eating it. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.